Hi everyone. Today I have found a new ore which I never been exploring, which I never been mining. They do like to jump into water, like to jump into unknown, and then they are dying. Look at that. Oh, I have found it. I need to place little something in order to make it more noticeable, because I barely found it. Basically, yesterday I just decided to mine in the direction of ocean, because I know that there are some changes. And that was actually a bit scary, and now I'm gonna show you why. Actually, at one moment I made such a strange and stupid mistake. This pathway is completely filled by water because I accidentally made a little hole and it flooded immediately. Like I was scared. This whole thing flooded immediately. So be careful with water here. And now there's actually that place. So this is the way how new ore looks. It is tin. To the best of my knowledge, you can combine raw tin and raw malachite chunk and create a sort of bronze, which I never done before. Today we're gonna try to make some of the bronze and new items. So this is tin. Oh, so quickly. Oh my goodness. I need to be careful because, as I understand, it is sort of underground lake, and it is probably huge because it extends in some of those directions. I'm afraid to jump there. I have no idea how deep it is. And I'm freezing a little. I still cannot craft a storage, I cannot believe. I need to use furnaces. I even made additional line of storages on my second floor in my castle. This is oh my goodness, this is ridiculous. Look at that void. This is a huge cave. I didn't show you before actually, but we have some caves here. I actually found a couple already. You can find a lot of iron there, like iron, sulfur, germanium crystal. And this is very scary there. They are huge. That's better. That actually was such a good luck in yesterday, because I just accidentally decided to mine here in order to explore the stuff underneath the ocean. I thought I will find there some new cobblestone or something, because I read that you can find something underneath the ocean. I went there, I nearly died because I nearly fell into that void, and also I flooded this part of tunnel. That was scary. And then I started to mine in this direction. I found this little cave and I was surprised, like, wow, this is new ore, I never seen it before. And turns out you can only find this ore underneath the ocean, I guess, because I never seen it before. And there's a void. Just imagine what will happen if I will fall there. No. And I mined just a little bit yesterday. There's some additional malachite or malachite. I guess I can find a bit more. see what can we do. To the best of my knowledge, we need to place these things together. Like this and this, I guess. Wow, it is really surprising because I never been doing that in Survivalcraft. Wow, totally new ingot. So guys, we got totally new ingot and we can do something new with it. Actually, we can see right now what can we do with it. I hope not so, please no, because it is so rare. No, we still need it. Well, basically, recipes are pretty much the same, as I see, really. There is supposed to be an ingot. Yes, there's supposed to be an ingot. Recipes are the same. But in terms of durability, it is so much longer. Like, look at that. 125, this is really good. I'm not sure about speed, like 75. In comparison to copper one, how much faster it is. We should check it now. 75 and... oh, and 50. That's a really big difference in my opinion. And we also, of course, we can use some weapons, but we need to go down again. And we also can use some beautiful armor, like this one. So I need quite a lot of leather, honestly. Oh, we can do this thing now. It's quite easy. Bronze pauldrons. I actually didn't know what that means, pauldrons. Wow. Foul. I mean this is supposed to be something really old, like ancient language. I don't know, like fouled and pauldrons. Oh, there we go. I cannot see it. Oh no, I cannot even see that. Maybe that's a bug, actually. But there is no feathers, actually. Unfortunately. I have no space in my inventory. Everything is so bad. I literally didn't know where to store items. Well, I can create more of these, but it getting ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous, really. Like, for how long can I create endless amount of these things in order to store items? For how long? But these things are really beautiful. I really like it. Well, no problems. I actually can create it. So we got it. Wow, the sky is so clear. I really like it. Guys are swimming as always. Everything is fine. They have like some degree of tremors, I guess, because look at their behavior. Or maybe there are some epilepsy. Yeah, it is clear that there is some problems, some neurologic problems, like seizures, epilepsy, or tremor.
Motivation is fundamental to our daily life. It's what allows us to get out of bed in the morning. It's what allows us to pursue long-term goals or short-term goals. Motivation and the chemistry of motivation tightly wound in with the neurochemistry of, in fact, the same single molecule, dopamine, responsible for our sense of motivation and for movement. Even though nerve controlling muscle, and these are nerves in the spinal cord or brain that move our limbs, the effector chemical there, the one that actually causes the muscles to twitch, contract, is acetylcholine. The brain, acetylcholine is responsible for focus. However, whether or not we want to move, whether or not we have the desire to overcome barriers, if they could be social barriers, financial barriers, or time constraints, that depends on this molecule, dopamine, a fascinating molecule, and it lies at the center of so many great things in life, and it lies at the center of so many terrible aspects of life, namely addiction and certain. So if ever there was a double-edged blade in the world of neuroscience, let's talk about what dopamine is. As always, we are going to talk about actionable. They were definitely going to talkily predict whether or not you're going to continue to pursue those goals, and therefore whether or not you will succeed in achieving those goals, as well as whether or not you will quit. There's a fundamental relationship between dopamine released in your brain and your desire to exert effort. You can actually control the schedule of dopamine, but it requires appropriate knowledge. This is one of those cases where understanding the way the dopamine system works will allow you to leverage it to your benefit. If you don't understand the way the dopamine works, there's a good chance that it's going to pull you out into the current of life, meaning the rest of the world is going to control your dopamine schedule. It's you for action. However, within the reward pathway, there's also a break or restriction on that dopamine, which controls when it's released and how much it's released, is the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex, the neural real estate right behind your forehead. It's discussed for so many aspects of neuroscience. You hear about it: decision making, executive function, for planning, etc. And indeed, it's responsible for a lot of those real estate that we were all endowed with as humans Other animals don't have much of it, a lot of it, and that prefrontal cortex acts as a brake on the dopamine system. Without that brake, it would be purely a pleasure-seeking animal. It would be purely pleasure-seeking. You would have no basis for regulating your behavior in terms of trying to get things done. And that brings us to an important feature of motivation, which is that motivation is a two-part process, which is about balancing pleasure. Okay? Most people think about motivation and reward and dopamine as just trying to achieve pleasure. Indeed, dopamine is released in the brain from the VTA at the nucleus accumbens. Very high update speed, where there's novel territory all the time. Novelty is a big stimulus of dopamine. Those can release dopamine somewhere between nicotine and cocaine. So very high levels of dopamine release. Social media is an interesting one because the amount of dopamine that's released in response to logging onto social media initially could be quite high, but it seems likely that there's a taper in the amount of dopamine. And yet people still get addicted. So why? Why is it that we can get addicted to things that fail to elicit the same massive amount of pleasure that they initially? Being addicted to something isn't just about the fact that it feels so good that you want to do it over and over again, and that's because of this pleasure-pain balance that underlies motivation. So let's look a little bit closer at the pleasure-pain balance, because therein lies the tools for you to be able to control motivation toward healthy things and avoid motivated behaviors towards things that are destructive. But the amount of pain, the amount of craving that they experience for the drug will increase over time. So much of our pursuit of pleasure is simply to reduce the pain craving. So the next time you experience something you really like, I don't want to take you out of that experience, but it's really important that you notice this, that if there's something you really enjoy, part of that enjoyment is about the anticipation and wanting of more of that thing. And that's the pain system in action. And so we can distinguish between dopamine, which is really about pleasure, and dopamine, which is really about motivation to pursue more in order to relieve or exclude future pain. Let me repeat that. Dopamine isn't as much about pleasure as much as it is about motivation and desire to pursue more in order to reduce the amount of pain. And
I made just a little mind here.
Mostly, the taste of that croissant makes me want to eat croissants. Now, eventually, blood sugar goes up, satiety is reached, etc. What happens then? What is satisfaction and satiety about?
I was really so lucky in order to find this biome, because it is so rare. Again, this is like pure huge forest, and this little desert here, pretty small. Like this is literally like this spot.
Those were described as the here and now molecules, ones that allow you to experience your sensation.
I was really lucky to find it here.
For which the brain stops projecting future. So now let's talk about craving and the so-called here and now molecules and how those engage in a kind of push-pull balance, feel kind of blissed out and content in the present. Those are receptors that exist in us not for sake of consuming THC or marijuana, but for sake of binding of our natural endogenous cannabinoids. So you got these two systems, kind of like a push-pull. And if you were to say, do the red meats, it's in certain nuts, and L-tyrosine is the precursor to dopamine. You can supplement L-tyrosine if you like. You will get a big inflection in dopamine, but there is a crash associated with it. However, it will increase motivation in the short term. Not suggesting anyone do this. I want to be very clear, say what I always say. I'm not a doctor. I don't prescribe anything. I'm a professor. Best things. You have to know whether or not these things are appropriate for your mental and physical health or not. So you need to consult a doctor. For instance, people who suffer from schizotypal or schizophrenia or mania should probably not be taking supplements that increase their dopamine. Now, if you can't increase your
I made such a big mistake. Oh my goodness, I didn't expect that I will get flu here. I thought it's gonna be so much warmer. But again, I need to heal myself somehow. I'm actually getting a second flu, and it might take quite a long time in order to heal here. Oh no, I cannot believe. I hate it.
So there are people that do much better when they take things that increase their dopamine. There are antidepressants like Wellbutrin, Pyrone, which increase the other, which increase dopamine and epinephrine. Attacks and epileptics, so yeah, you can talk to a doctor, but they will increase dopamine and motivation, focus, lots of things that are associated with dopamine. So more study, more sport, more pursuit, higher amount, more money, more whatever. But we know that over time, the mirror image of that, the pain of lack of accomplishment, also increases pleasure. So in a few moments, I'm going to talk about how about healthy dopamine, but I just want to take a step back for a second, talk a little bit about the flip side of dopamine. What happens after this so-called dopamine crash? What mechanisms are installed in us? There are mechanisms that are installed in all of us that really put a total brake on dopamine. Why they're there, what they do. You've experienced it before. There are actually ways that we can navigate these dopamine crashes or intentional dopamine suppression in order to leverage a healthier dopamine schedule. Perhaps one of the most fundamental mechanisms all human is neural circuitry designed for
So guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I will heal myself. This is basically the beginning of our settlement. I know it is very primitive, but I mean it's just the beginning. I will think how to position all of the roads and how to create new buildings. But first of all, I need to heal myself. That's probably the best beginning of our settlement. I'm diseased.
Biology of sex in males and females. XX chromosome X